Diesel heaters. We all need them in our vans. Some people even install them in their workshops, in their houses, their garages. But we need them in our vans. Let's face it, it's now mid-December. It is getting pretty cold at night time, and those mornings when you roll out of bed and you pull back that duvet or that sleeping bag, yeah, you know that the space around you can be quite cold. So turning on a diesel heater is a game changer. But thanks to this video sponsor, Hcalory, they've got you and me sorted. So guys, we're back under the carport, we're back in the van, and I'm now going to call this table that you can't see, but you're propped on, my review table. This is where I'm going to be doing all my reviews from now on. So we have got the new Hcalory Blaze Core diesel heater sent to us for review. We're going to get it out of the box, we're going to have a look at it, what do you get inside, and how do you wire one of these things up. So currently in my van, I've got an all-in-one diesel heater, and it's from Hcalory and it works an absolute blinder. It heats up this small space in no time at all. It is an 8 kilowatt one, so it's quite powerful, probably a little bit too powerful for what I need in here, but that suits me just fine because I've just had it on. I got in the van and it was 9 degrees in here and it's now a comfortable 17, and that's warm enough for me, and it was only on for 5 minutes. So we're going to get into the unboxing of this, have a look, let's dive deep inside this box and see what we get inside, and then I'm going to try and demonstrate to you how you wire one of these things up. Now in this van, like I've just said, I've got a diesel heater fitted in, and as many of you know, if you're OGs to this channel, I've rebuilt this van 3 times and I'm now on my final build and I am not doing any more to it. There's a few reasons why, we'll go into that a bit later on, but my all-in-one diesel heater is fitted and it is staying. I told Hcalory this and they still wanted to send me out the diesel heater so I can unbox it, review it and demonstrate it to you and show you guys exactly what this thing does. I am going to keep it. There's a reason why I'm going to keep it, because I'm not going to disclose that just yet, but I am going to keep this in its box ready for spring 2026 when big things are happening. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to get into the box now. It's just here and we're going to have a look, and then I'm going to try and do some sort of demonstration on how you wire these things up and plumb them in. They're very simple, very easy to do. I think with the diesel heaters, the most nerve-wracking thing you can do and the most time-consuming thing would be finding where you're going to install it and finding somewhere suitable and safe to install it and drilling the holes in the floor of your van. So here it is. The Hcalory Blaze Core, really, really good 8 kilowatt diesel heater, and I'm really keen to get inside. So when you open up the box, the first thing that you get inside is on the top, your tank for your fuel. Very slimline, a little bit chunky in the width, I've got to be honest with you, but because it's so slim, it's not really going to take up much room if you slap that up against a wall or something like that. Inside, we've got a few bits. What have we got inside the tank? So we've got, I'm assuming because these are inside the tank, these are what we need for the tank. So, and this is literally me unboxing this in front of you, so we're going to go through this together. So we've got that, which I assume is for the fuel line. So that will come from the tank, fuel line will go on there. You've obviously got your bolts and washers for it, etc, etc. The screws there, which go onto the fuel tank, which you'll use to secure it to the wall, with the washers that you need for it there. So let's swipe these away. Next box, more goodies. Let's have a look and see what we've got. So we've got the exhaust. Now with the exhaust, with these, it's very important that when you install them, you'll see underneath here, we've got a little hole there. Now when you install these exhausts or angle them outside your vehicle, have them at an angle like that, because this little hole here just lets all the condensation drip out. You don't want that building up. And then you get your bracket and all your screws. You get your exhaust pipe from the diesel heater to the exhaust. Now you may well need to buy an extension to this because it's not actually very long, but in short, you get that to start with. Tube. Black flexible tube. This is for your air inlet. So this will go from your diesel heater to your air inlet, which we have just here. And that will go on like that with a Jubilee clip around it outside the vehicle. Your hose for your heat. So this is where the front of the diesel heater will be, and this is where the heat will come out into your van. What I do like as well about what Hcalory give you, they also give you this little T-junction. So if you wanted to get some extra hose, you can hose this off and have air circulating into your vehicle from sort of 2 different points. You get your mounting plate. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A lot of people like the turret plate where it has the circular bit here, which is about this deep. So you drill a massive hole in the floor of your van and then plonk that through, diesel heater sits on, pipes go through there and seal underneath outside the van. Now I've actually used one of these inside my van and I've not had any problems whatsoever, providing that when you install this, you leave enough room, so if you've got carpet or vinyl, that it's not sitting on carpet and vinyl, if that makes sense, because this will still get hot. If your exhaust pipe is rubbing against this will heat up. It won't get dangerously hot, but it will get warm. So basically, you screw that down, you've got a nice template there, draw your holes, drill, pipes go through, diesel heater sits on top. It's nice and simple. Fuel line. You get quite a good length for fuel line here. I haven't actually snipped it off yet to measure it, but there's plenty there, and this will go from the bottom of the diesel heater into fuel pump, and then from fuel pump to I believe fuel filter, and then into your tank. Vent for your heat. Electrical cables. Now I'm assuming that we've got this bit here. Let's have a look. So I haven't even looked at the instructions yet, which they do give you, which are quite in depth. So you've got your fuse there. One of these goes into the diesel heater and one of these will go to your remote. And then you've got your positive and negative there to go to your power supply. Tickety, here is your fuel pump. So these are the things that when you turn your diesel heater on, you hear go tick, 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 and while it's running. So I'll be very interested to hear how loud this actually is. Now, with the one that I've got, the all-in-one I've got, it's not loud at all. And to be honest, listen, if you're outside, it's freezing cold, and you need some heat, what's going to bother you more? Shivering in the cold or just hearing the very faint tick, 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 tick? I know what I'd rather. But yeah, so there's the fuel pump, which actually plugs into that electrical supply we just showed you. And your control panel, and attached to that is the remote, which I really like. The little things please little minds, but I really like the feel of this. It's got this like sort of rubberized grip on it. It's not just ordinary plastic. It feels quite premium, feels quite good. It looks like a car key, to be honest. I quite like that. And then you've got all your temperature up and down, power on. These will obviously be menu buttons as well. I think that's for the light. We'll go through the instructions in a little bit. And then with most of these diesel heaters, when you want to prime them, to start them, you hold these 2 buttons down. So when you've actually plugged and plumbed all the diesel heater in, the worst thing people do is actually fill the diesel tank all the way up to the very top with diesel. Go halfway first, plumb it all in, and then the worst thing you can do is just turn the diesel heater on so it starts pumping out the heat straight away. Don't get too carried away, don't get too excited. What you need to do is prime it first. So you prime it like that, and then what you do, I've seen on videos, is you let the fuel, don't prime it so all the fuel goes all the way into the diesel heater. You want to stop it just about there, because if you prime it too much, when you turn it on, your exhaust is just going to bellow out a load of smoke for quite a while. So prime it up till about that far from the diesel heater itself, turn it off, turn the diesel heater on, and then it will pump the fuel in and away it will go. Instruction manual. Look at that. It's really thick. But the reason why it's really thick, it's in different languages. So, but it is really easy to read when you're not looking at it in German. It is really easy to read. And you've got all your error codes in there as well and stuff like that. So yeah, really, really useful. I don't usually read instruction manuals. I'm usually a bit gung-ho and just go straight into it. But that's usually because they confuse me. But when they're this easy to read and follow, go by the guidelines. Finally, in this bag, we've got fuel filter, lots of cable ties, some Jubilee clips, nuts and bolts and screws and all sorts. And there you have it. That's everything that you get in the box. Everything that you need to get started is in the box. You do not need to go out and purchase anything else. The only thing I would say that you probably need to go and get is probably an extension to this, and you can pick these up on Amazon or you can pick them up on eBay. They're cheap as chips. And maybe some of this if you're looking at extending it using the T junction there. But apart from that, that's everything you need to get going. And here she is. Not very heavy at all. Solidly built. I've got to be honest with you, this is the actual diesel heater unit itself. So this is the back, which will suck air in. And obviously you'll also get air in from underneath. And we'll talk about the underneath of this in just a second. And this is where you would put the big black pipe, maybe with your T-junction. And this is where all the hot air will come out. Never put your fingers in there when it's turned on, because this thing will, well, disintegrate your fingers. It gets so hot. But all in all, nice colours. I like the colour. I know it doesn't mean a lot, but I like the colour. I like the logo branding, and I like that it's also got Blaze Core written on the side as well. You get your warning notes up on the top there. This is your power supply, so that black socket thing that we showed you earlier on will just clip into there, like that. Then off to your power supply it goes. The underneath for diesel heaters. Now, you've got two inlets here. So with this little black bit that you can see there, we can pull that off. That's where the fuel goes. I'm going to leave the black thing on there because I don't want any debris getting in there. So you've got the fuel there. Now, the hole nearest this nipple here is for the air inlet. Okay, so when you turn one of these over, if you don't read the instructions, you need to know where this little nipple is, where your fuel line goes. The nearest hole to the fuel line is for the air inlet. The reason being is because this is where the exhaust is, and it's just keeping that fuel line away from the exhaust so it doesn't get too hot. So a little bit of a safety feature there. You also get this rubber, what are we going to call it, gasket thing. So it just helps it. Oh dear, we pulled the black nipple off. Put that back on. So you can get that sealed nicely. Get that on. Really squeeze it down when you bolt it down. And the one thing that this Blaze Core diesel heater has got, which my all-in-one doesn't have, which I wish it did have, Bluetooth. Actually has Bluetooth. It comes with an app where you can control a diesel heater from your phone. So you've got 3 ways of using this diesel heater. You can use it from the control panel itself, you can use it from the little controller that you've got, or you can actually lay in bed at night and just use it from your phone, which is really, really good. In the instruction manuals, you get your QR code there. So it's for Android and for iOS. So if you've got iPhones, the instructions are there how to load it up, and you can control all sorts of things from it. You can control the heat settings, you can control your high plateaus, so I guess like that's if you're in higher altitudes where the air's thinner and stuff like that. There's an awful lot that you can do. And also with the app, which I really, really like, which saves you getting out of bed, reaching for the remote or down to the controller, or even getting out on your phone and just turn it on. If you want your van to be nice and warm for when you wake up, it's got a timer setting on it. You can actually set a timer for it to come on like you would with your central heating in your house. Game changer. So let's just have a look at what the instructions tell you about the fault codes. So in the instruction manual there, you've got all, the list of all the fault codes that you've got. I think the most common one that you're going to find with a diesel heater is quite likely to be E021, depending on what power source you're using for it. And the fault code E021, it just simply means that the power supply voltage is too low. Like I said, it is very important that while they don't use a lot of voltage when they're running, or wattage when they're running, they do when they start up and when they cool down. So you can damage the diesel heaters by not letting it go through that cool down process. So it is vital that you make sure you're topped up with power so you can get that cool down process done. Otherwise, you're just going to risk up damaging your diesel heater. So you're probably wondering why I'm not going to install this into my van when I've sat here and praised it. The reason being, like I've just said, is I've already got their all-in-one diesel heater, which works just fine, and it is plumbed in, secure. It's not coming out. I am actually going to be using this diesel heater in my new build, which is coming in spring 2026. Fingers crossed. I'm already getting stuff together and storing it around my dear mum's house in her spare bedroom. And this diesel heater will be going into that room, and it will be installed in my new van, which will be coming hopefully in spring 2026. So if you want to see the Hcalory diesel heater being installed, subscribe, like the channel, leave me a comment, follow me, and hopefully we'll have a great build of a new van coming up in 2026, and you'll see this diesel heater being installed. The other thing as well is that this tank is too big for my van. I've got nowhere to put it, so I will need to go and purchase a smaller tank just so I can fit it in. But then if I get a bigger van, hopefully this will go, and I'm sure it will. I think it's about 10 litre. So plenty of fuel in there. Diesel heaters, once they're up and running, they don't actually use an awful lot of fuel, to be quite honest with you. In fact, they don't even use a lot of power. I think on startup initially there's a surge, and they take probably maybe up to about 250 watts max, I would say, to actually fire up. Once they're fired up and they're running, you're talking 30 watts. That's it. But when you turn a diesel heater off, and it's the same for all diesel heaters, you do not just turn your power off. You've got to let the diesel heater cool down. So you just use your remote, press the off button, let it go through its cool down process. There will be a surge when it does that, maybe for about a minute or two, again, around about the same 250 watts, something like that. But then it will drop once it's done its cool down process. Apart from that, they do not use a lot of fuel, and they do not use a lot of power. So as always, with products, when you buy them, you get after sales support, or you should get good after sales support, and you really do with Hcalory. So if you do have any issues, in the instruction manual, I think it's on page 2 where it says contact us, there's an email address there of hcalory@hcalory.com where you can get all your technical support if you can't find it in the instruction manual, which quite frankly you will. What's that? Smoke from a vape that you can see. What's the dangers of running a diesel heater? Well, what you can't see is the invisible killer, which is carbon monoxide. If you're installing a diesel heater in your vehicle, home, workshop, wherever you're installing one, for heaven's sake, please get yourselves one of these, or maybe 2, carbon monoxide alarms. I've got 2 in my van. I have one on the wall, up where all the rest of my control panels are, and I've got one underneath my bed as well. So if one fails, what are the chances of 2 failing? You'd be very unlucky, but if one fails, I've always got one other to save my life, basically. And I've got one under the bed right by the diesel heater. So I've got 2. You can pick them up for like 15 quid each, okay? All right, they're not cheap, but they are an absolute vital thing to have in your van. So I just want to say massive thanks to Hcalory for sending out the diesel heater, courtesy of banggood.com. Sending me out the diesel heater for an unboxing video and general review of what I thought the product looked like. If you want to see this being installed, fully installed, then please subscribe to the channel, click the like button, click the bell notification. You'll be notified when I upload that video. That's going to be coming up in spring 2026 with a bit of luck, where this will be fully installed into a brand new van for Rick and his van. So it will be called Rick and his van. Hopefully it'll be called Rick and his vans. And I think the only change that we will be making to it is possibly the fuel tank, the size of the fuel tank, and maybe change a little bit of the power supply, because I'd like an AC to DC adapter for it so I can run it off a power station. But apart from that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. If you are interested in looking at diesel heaters, then I strongly suggest looking at Hcalory's website or go to banggood.com. Go and have a look. You can pick them up. They're not very expensive, under £200, and you can keep yourself toasty warm in your vehicles, workshops, garages, or even install these in your homes. But for now, guys, I'm out of here because I've now got to go and prep for my live video, which is coming out today at 6 o'clock. Hope you found the video useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.